Hello guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to our Python Fundamentals. So, for this is module number 7. We are going to study functions. So, before we do anything else, I would like to invite you to hit that subscribe button and of course, the notification bell. Okay, so that whenever I upload something new, you will be always updated. Okay? So, we're good. So, functions. What is a function? In this module, we are going to introduce functions. By defining our functions, we can make our programs more efficient. By defining a function with a specific purpose and scope, we can call that function anywhere in our programs to perform the task it was designed to do. We will learn how to use the def statement to define our own functions. We are going to define function parameters including default value cases. We are also going to differentiate between function parameters and function arguments. We are also going to use function calls with appropriate arguments. In addition, use the return statement to send the results of a function back to the user. The use of the local and global variables appropriately will also be one of our objectives. We are going to investigate how mutable and immutable data types work with functions. We have been using mutable and immutable before. So what will be the effect if those data types will be inserted into a function? How will they react? Okay, how are they going to be affected? So we're going to discuss that. As a final objective, we are going to use the pipe.library library from the matplotlib to make graph visualizations of datasets. So functions. What is a function? A function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. You can pass data, known as parameters, into a function, and the function can return data as a result. For the data types, we do not have any new data types to cover for this particular topic. For the control flow, we are going to study def and return for today, or for this particular topic. Operators, nothing new on our assignment operators, still the same guys. Algebraic operators, the same. Built-in functions, still the same. Methods, the same for the strings, for the list, for the dictionaries, except for the external libraries wherein we are going to use the matplotlib. So are you excited guys? Of course you are. I'm also excited because making use of the functions, I could say that this is what separates men from boys. Okay, so for the next subject, after the programming one, if you're still with me, for the data structure, then we are going to make use of functions a lot. So I'm also planning to do a lecture or tutorial on data structure using Python. So please bear with me. When we come to that topic, we're going to use a lot of functions. Okay? Okay, so for our first topic, we are going to, let's say, deeply understand what a Python or what a function is. By the way, guys, may mga request nga pala. Mag-Taglish daw ako para ano naman daw, mas maintindihan nila. Kasi marami daw mga tutorial sa YouTube na English and Indiano. So, for that reason, para sa mga Philippine audience and dyan, chances are, most of my students will be my students or my former students. So, sige, Taglish tayo. Whenever I can, okay? You know, Bitwater. Anyway, for the functions, for our first topic, yes, I know that we've defined functions before, sa taas. Kaya lang, the idea is that for the function itself, we are going to understand what really a function is. So, as far as I'm concerned, as far as my discussion is concerned, we have been dealing with functions. We have been using functions before or prior to this lecture. Kaya lang, yung ginagamit natin mga functions is yung mga built-in functions ng Python. So, may mga specific purpose yun. For example, from module 1 to module 6, we have been using the print function. Okay, so print function, this is a built-in function in Python with a specific purpose. Okay, so when you type print, Actually, yan. Print tapos shift tab. Yan ang kagandahan sa Jupyter Notebook. When you press shift tab, you can see the documentation itself. So we have the doc string, print value, comma, the separator, the end, and then the file system or the flash. So when you press shift tab, yun, lalaki pa po lalo yung inyong documentation, yung tulong. So yan na po yung mga sinasabi niya. There are cases wherein I believe hanggang 3. Ayan. Pero ako, okay na tayo dyan. At least di ka na kailangan pang connect sa internet, di ba? Simply by pressing or by typing the name of the function and then shift tab, you can read the documentation, the shift tab, much further reading. So, for the print function, when we do the print open and close, ano nangyayari? Ulit nga. Sige nga. Ayun. So, wala namang mangyayari dyan. Actually, meron. Nagkaroon tayo ng blankong space dyan. So, for that reason, if you do several, ayun no. O, diba? Dumami space. So, technically, may nangyayari. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng isang space or ng print. At dahil sa sinasabi ng print function, ay magkakaroon siya ng \n, end niya, o yung kanyang pinaka-last will be a \n or new line. Therefore, para kang kung sa typewriter yung nasa may left mo, ski, ganun. Pinindot mo siya. So, that's what I'm thinking about the print function. Okay? So, when you do something like the print, tapos nag-type ka dyan ng hello world, tulad ng natin ginawa, what do you expect? Ayun, so mapiprint po yung ating hello world. But, if, for example, if you want to, let's say, modify yung n, instead of having the \n, you want to modify it, let's say, replace it with a string, can we do that? Yes, of course, pwede natin gawin yun. Sino ba may sabing hindi? Kaya nga nilagay yan dyan eh, pwede mong baguhin. Opo, wala daw pong forever sa mundo, sabi ng toothbrush. Dahil kapag ang toothbrush forever, iyak na rin yung may-ari. Ayun. So, for example, maglagay tayo dyan. Print, let's say, goodbye world. Yan, kunyari, mamamaalam ka na sa mundong ibabaw, pupunta ka na sa mundong ilalim. Kaya lang, ang gagawin mo, instead of having the \n as the end of the line, or let's say, yung parang terminator, what we are going to do is we're going to modify it. Okay? So, we can have it n equals, let's say, palitan natin siya ng dahil na maalam mo sa mundong ibabaw, kunyari iniyakan ka. Ay iiyak kaya, lagyan natin ng space. O sige, wag muna para makita niyo yung effect. And then, we can have print. Just kidding. Ayun. Sandali lang ha. At may mga nagme-message sa akin. Magpo-post lang po ako. And as you can see, ano kaya mangyayari kapag niran ko to? Well, bear in mind that what we have done is mas maganda siguro sa baba. Yun. Bear in mind that what we have done is we've replaced the end. So this one is the end. Pinalitan natin siya ng cry. So technically, hindi tayo mag-new line after this one. So instead of a new line, we've replaced it with cry. Let me put on tanggalin natin yan. So what will happen is goodbye world, cry, and then just kidding. Tama? Mali. In a single line. Am I right? Or am I left? Right, left. Okay, so nakikita nyo, wala siyang space in between, so I will have to put some spaces in here. And there you go. Ayun. Hopefully clear siya, no? Naintindihan naman yung pagmamodify natin ng n. And similarly, we've been doing some concatenation. So, for example, we have first argument in here, and then we put a comma, our second argument, and then another comma, and we have the third argument. There you go. So, what will happen is kina-concatenate lang natin yung first argument, second argument, then third argument. So, when we run this one, simple as it is. Ganun lang kasimple. But then again, what we've been seeing so far is meron kasi tayo rito ayun no, separator. Our separator is a space. So, if you want to modify our separator, so simple lang naman po. For example, ang gawin natin is, ang ating maging separator is equal to, let's say, $sign. Ayun no. So, instead of having those spaces in between the first, second, and third argument respectively, it will become what? Guess what? So, if you guess $sign, then you are correct. Again. Likewise, we can also print, let's say, first argument in here. And then, let's say, let me print a number 245, 5.25, and string values. And when we run it, you know, kaya lang medyo hindi po ganyan ang diskarte ko. I am basically, what I've been practicing so far is ako yung explicitly nagde-declare ko ano yung magiging data type niya. Tama. So, the idea is that, hayaan nyo yung kayo ang tawag ng explicitly declare ko ano yung gusto nyong ilabas kaysa si compiler or kaysa si Python. Mas prefer ko yung ganun kasi parang para sa akin, opinion ko lang, mas maganda siyang practice na ikaw yung may total control sa gusto mong mangyari. Ayun lang naman yung aking punto. So, I hope okay tayo doon. Okay? Next, ang print argument po ay pwede rin nating itabi sa, let's say, pwede tayo magkaroon din ng input. So, we've also been using input, right? But before going to the input, always remember that pag gusto mong gamitin yung function, the idea is that declare the function name and then ipasok mo yung mga argument na gusto mong gawin. Okay? So, then everything is okay or everything is good. You can use now the function fully. Ngayon, yung print function, pwede mo siyang gamitin din coinciding or side by side with the input. So, basically yung input is another function or is another built-in function in Python. So, basically, when we do some input function, for example, input, and then open and close, what will happen is that when we run it, ayan, nangingi lang siya ng input mula kay user. So, let's say, mag-press ka lang ng enter, ayun, blanco lang siya. But then again, if you want, you can basically give the user the instructions on what to do or ano yung gusto niyang gawin. So, you can do input. Ayun. And then, so if you do input, and then we tell them what is your name, colon, then put a space. So, what will happen here is that I will be asked, what is my name? So, I will simply put in Ryan. And then, there you go. Output, Ryan. Kaya minsan, mas maganda ilagay natin siya sa isang something na mag-hold sa kanya or let's say a container or a variable perhaps. So, we can catch it by doing, let's say, name equals input and then what is your name? Wait, may napindot yata ako. Sorry about that. Yan ang problema. Hindi pa ako nag-edit ayoko mag-edit, wala akong time. Masyado akong busy. So, kasama ko sa paglaki ang mga error. What is your name? Yun. And then, we can use the print function to print hello with a space, then we concatenate it name dot title. So we get the name of the variable name, then we put the dot title para yung first letter is maging malaking letter. So I guess this should do it. Ayun no. What is your name? Let's say if I pin Ryan, because of the dot title, pag in-output niya yung hello Ryan, magiging capital R. Simple as that. Okay, Please do take note that sometimes a function returns a value, a variable, like input, which we can set it equal to a variable. Uh, what we have done is we've created a variable and then input or equals to input, then double quote some string. But we can also have a function that has no return, like print. So we cannot say or make it equal to a variable kasi print nga siya eh. Basically, output lang siya. Ayun po. And so, as you have been noticing, and hopefully you are noticing it, our functions, or the functions, we might define variables like name equals and so on and so forth, and then a function call, and other times you might just have a function call. Take note that it is dependent upon the function. Has a return value, so depende sa function kung may return value o wala. Kapag yung return values is something that we are going to discuss a little bit further. So sa ilalim mamaya, maridiscuss natin yung mga return values ng function. Okay? So I hope that settles it. Hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon may mga return value ang function. Minsan meron, minsan wala. Minsan kailangan mo pwede mo ilagay sa variable, minsan hindi mo kayang ilagay sa variable tulad ng print. Ayun po. So if everything is clear, now we might have to go to the next topic. So I will simply change this to markdown. And then bold in Python, a function is defined by using the def keyword. So you may define or we may create a function using the def keyword, and for example, we're going to define a function with a function definition and then the def, then the function name. Okay, so define a function with a function definition and then def. Paano ginagawa yun? Def, then the function name. So, for example, we are going to create a hello world function. So, paano natin gagawin yun? So, simplihan lang muna natin, di ba? Ang function na gagawin natin is hello world lang. Ganun lang kasimple. So, paano natin gagawin? Ayan po, nakalagay na, def. Tapos, the function name. Anong function name natin? Hello world. So, again, as what I have said, as what I have been keeping, or as what I have been telling you the whole time, meron po tayong camel casing. Okay? Sa variable, ang practice ko kasi kapag yung first letter is small letter, and then the second word, capital letter, pero kapag function po, ayan, first letter pa lang po, malaking letter na. So again, that's my practice and that's what I've been doing for the last how many years. Opo, huwag na magkakabukuhan tayo ng ilan. And then followed by a parenthesis and then colon. So technically, any associated parameters, papasok po yan dito sa loob ng parenthesis. So dahil wala tayong laman, wala tayong parameter. Ganun lang kasimple. We're going to, pag press mo ng enter, makikita nyo na naka-indent kagad siya. So, lagay lang tayo dyan ng print and then hello world. Kaya lang, minsan magandang habit na kapag gagawa ka ng mga function, maglalagay ka ng dark string. Ano po yung dark string? Dark string is 3 quotations. 1, 2, 3. Ayun, bigla magkakaroon siya ng ending. Create the whole world. Sir, bakit ka naglagay dyan ng create the whole world? The idea for the dark string is that you can explain your function briefly at the start. So, dahil gumagamit tayo ng function, there will be cases na marami tayong mga functions. So, it's a good habit na meron tayong dark string wherein yung description kung para saan yung gamit ng function na yun ay nakalagay. So, hindi lang siya para sa iyo at kundi para rin sa mga susunod na henerasyon talaga. The idea is, para rin siya sa mga katulong mo, kasama mo sa project, or kaya pag nag-resign ka sa isang company. So, magkakaroon kayo ng at least may self-documenting yung iyong code. So, magandang practice yan. Again guys, tulad ng sinasabi ko, lagi niyong iisipin na yung programmer na papalit sa'yo pag nag-resign ka sa isang company ay serial killer. Sir, bakit serial killer? Para pagka medyo pasaway ka nagko-code, kaya kanyang huntingin, tapos kakatahin ka niya. So, yun lang po. Then I guess that's it. So this is a function. Okay? So when you run this, anong mangyayari? Wala. Pero technically, when you call the function, hello world, you know, i-print niya yung hello world. So, yun na po yung buong function. Ganun lang kasimple. O, di ba? Sabi nila mahirap. Maraming takot gumamit ng function. Dahil hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit. Eh, kailangan po siya sa paglaki. Iba nga, hindi lumaki. So, yeah, that's it. And just note or bear in mind that functions are more dynamic when behavior changes based on user input. So, we can accomplish this by passing arguments to the function. And when we do this, the behavior of the function can change just like print or input statement. And taking this into account, we can have another example. So, again, hello world. Then, maglalagay tayo ng parameters na name and age. Again, colon. Ayun, no? Ano nga ulit tawag dyan? Dark string. Ayun. Greet a user and repeat the age. So, paano nyo gagawin yan? Sandali lang, may maingay. Okay. And then, we can print hello. Tapos, plus name dot title plus double quote exclamation point print you are plus string age plus double quote years old. Hello world. So, ano mangyayari dito? Ano tingin nyo mangyayari? Analyze nyo muna bago natin i-run. Okay, so kung ang hula nyo ay magkakaroon ng error, then technically, tama ba yung mali? Sir, error nga eh. Technically, it's wrong. Tama? Okay, so when you run it, ayan. There is an error. Sir, bakit po nag-error? Okay, nangyari ang error kasi, ayun, hello world missing two required arguments, the name and of course the age. So technically daw kasi, meron kang parameters na name and age dito sa loob ng function definition mo, but yet, wala ka rito sa loob nito nung pinol mo yung function. So technically, error siya. So what you needed to do is to call in the function and then pass the parameters. Ano bang gusto mong ipasa? Dahil string, gusto kong ipasa yung Ryan, tapos yung aking age, bata pa po ako, 19, naiintindihan nyo na yun. So when I run this, ayun, hello Ryan, you are 19 years old. O diba? Simple lang gamitin. Sabi nyo, komplikado ang function. Next, the idea is that we can also do this. Username is equal to pangalan po ng anak ko, Alden. And then, ang aking user age, anak ko is 7 years old, going 8. And then when, mommy. And then when I call the function, hello world, tapos ilalagay ko dyan is username and user age. Will this work, guys? Tingin nyo. If your answer is yes, then technically, you're correct. May tama ka. So, ganun lang po kasimple ang ating function. Kaya lang, subalit bagaman tatapwat, paano kapag ka nakalimutan mo maglagay ng arguments? Or what if, yun nga, if forget to put an argument? Nakita natin dito sa taas na kapag ka nakalimutan mo maglagay ng argument, technically mag-error ka. Tama? So, paano mo susolusyonan? Let's say, thunders na, nakalimutan. So, ano solusyon? So, the solution will be to put a default values sa function mo. So that pag nakalimutan mo, mangyayari is kukuha niya ng default value and then that's it. Gagana pa rin yung program mo. Remember sa print function wherein yung ating end doon na parameter is \n or new line and then yung ating separator is space. So hindi naman tayo lagi naglalagay ng value doon, pero dahil yun yung nakalagay na default value, then basically it's working. So how are we going to do it? We can do this by, let's say, gawin muna tayo ng comment, putting default values in the function. Ayun. So, let's define a function. Let's say goodbye world. Bakit ba ako lagi naman maalam? Ayun, no? Goodbye world, and then ang ating name, parameter natin, and the day. So, for example, maglagay tayo ng default value rito na nobody. I want nobody but you. Ayun. And then the day will be today. Colon. Goodbye to a person and wish them a good day. Kahit gabi na. Then print goodbye. Tapos let's concatenate this with my name, the title, and then plus natin ang ating string na ... There you go. Then another print in here. May you have a good plus day dot title plus period. So if we forget to put parameters, for example, kinol lang natin yung function goodbye world, what will happen? Kung kanina to, error to. But because of the default value in here and the default value in here, so what will happen or what we are expecting to see is goodbye, name the title which is nobody, may you have a good today. Parang wrong grammar. Ayun. So, simple English yun, you do not understanding. How did you graduation, no? Anyway, ayun po. Goodbye nobody, may you have a good today. But what if nilagyan mo ng pangalan? So, goodbye word. Let's say, naglagay ka dyan ng Ryan. Ayan. So, goodbye Ryan, may you have a good today. So, technically, ganun lang po kadali yun. So, hopefully, this explains it. Okay? Before I forgot nga pala, sorry. What if dalawa yung nilagay mong may value? So, let's say goodbye Ryan, tapos comma, let's say, anong araw ba ngayon? Saturday. So, goodbye Ryan, tapos Saturday. Ayan. Goodbye Ryan, may you have a good Saturday. So, basically, that's it. Question, paano sa pag-isa lang? Ayun lang. Isa lang talaga yung una talaga kukuhain niya. Okay? So, let's have another example. Another example of a function to calculate a person's age in X years. So, paano natin gagawin yan? Of course, define natin yung function. Define function, calc age. Default value natin ng age is equal to 0. Then, ang ating interval is, let's say, 10. So, calculate a person's age in X years. Print. You are currently plus string age plus years old. Age plus equals interval print in interval years you will be plus string age plus so ano nangyari? Ayan, we've defined a new function called age. Default value ng age is 0, interval is 10 years. You are currently, yun po, point age, years old. And then, kukuha natin yung interval. So, 0 plus interval. In interval, let's say in 10 years, you will be, kung ilan yung edad. Okay? So, let's try this one. Called age. So, you are currently 6 years old. In 10 years, you will be 10. Kaya lang, ang pangit. Lagyan natin may space. Yeah. That's more like it. Ayun, no, parang may space. Now, if we put parameters called age, let's say 33. Ayun, no. You are currently 33 years old. And in 10 years, you will be 43. If we do something like 33 comma let's say 15, ano mangyayari? Ayun, you are currently 33 years old, so 33 plus 15, 48. So in 15 years you will be 48. Excuse me, hindi yan COVID, naubo lang. Personal tip, it's always a good practice na lahat ng mga function definition mo is nasa taas ng yung code. So, yung mga reusable block ng code mo, dapat nasa taas. Yun naman yung payong kaibigan lang. So, best practice, kasi nasa ilalim siya, mas maganda nasa taas. Okay? So, hopefully, that settles it. For our next topic, we are going to discuss the return value. So, technically, all of our functions na ginawa natin is based on input. Now, we are going to write some functions that perform operations but return a result. So, think of a function call as asking the function to do something and it's giving you back the result. So, when you have a return statement, you have to grab this return value. Otherwise, its information will be lost. So, kailangan mong kuhain yun. So, paano natin gagawin yun? Madali lang po siyang intindihin, promise. So, let's rebuild our calc age function. So, paano natin gagawin? Define calc age. And then we've got age, our interval is equal to 0, close quantity, colon. And then, dark string again, determine a person's age after interval years. So, nakita na natin to kanina sa taas. Hindi pa malayo. Kitang-kita pa nga natin. But, nag-burp ako. Thank you, God. Yun. Age plus equals interval. And then, this time, we're going to return the age. Ayun. So, ano nangyari? Wala. Define pa naman natin yung function eh. But, if we try to pass some parameters or value, let's say calc age 33, 12, what will happen? Ayun. Ilabas niya yung 45. Pero, teka lang ha. Wait, gawin ko lang tong calc age 2. Tapos calc age 2 natin to. So, run ko to. And then, run ko to. Ayun, 45 talaga. Wala tayong nagawa dyan. Okay. So, pero kapag ka nag-run ako ng let's say calc age 2, balik ko na nga ng calc age. Run ko to. 45. And then when I do something like let's say print age, ayun no, ayun, error. Bakit nag-error? Kasi technically, uh, hindi siya defined. Age is not defined. So the idea is that, kung titingnan mo, yung age natin dito ay nandito sa loob ng ating function, pero wala siya rito sa may labas. So mamaya pag-uusapan natin yung global at saka local variable, pero ito yung dapat yung tandaan. Itong age na to, dahil siya ay nilagay mo sa loob ng function, what will happen is that, dito lang siya visible sa loob ng function. Okay? So, hindi mo siya magagamit sa labas. So, if you want to use this outside, technically, hindi naman tayo naglagay rito ng print. So, dapat ito ay, tawag doon, hindi talaga dapat lalabas. So, paano mo siya gagawin? Or paano mo siya ayusin? You can create a variable in here, new age equals calc age, tapos ipiprit mo rito yung new age. So, kung ano man yung ipupukol ng function na to, is ilalagay natin sa variable, tapos yung variable na yun ang ating tatawagin. So, ayun. Kaya siya nagkaganyan. Okay? So, for example, if you want, let's say, gawin mo tong 67. Ayun, no? Pag ginawa mo tong 45. Ayun, no? So, 33 plus 45, 78. Kaya, ganun lang. Okay? So, common mistake. Copy ko lang to. Tapos, lagyan natin dito ng hashtag. So, common mistake number 1. There is no return value. And then, when I do this, ayun, what will happen? None. Bakit? Wala nga kasing na-return. Okay? So, that is common mistake number 1. Kung may number 1, may number 2. Ano po yung common mistake number 2? Commands after the return statement. Ayan. So, define calc age, age interval, determine age plus, lagay tayo muna ng, demo muna natin yung before. So, demo natin yung before. So, maglagay tayo dyan ng print na high. Para lang makita nyo kung anong mangyayari or kung anong magiging effect. So, when you do that, high 78. Okay? Kaya lang, yung common mistake nga natin is after the return statement. So, ito yung demo na after. So, pansinin nyo maigi guys ha. Kung anong mangyayari. Magic to magic. Ayun. So, ano tingin nyo mangyayari dito? Ano? Yun, tama ka. Hindi na mo piprint yung right after the return. So, anything na ilagay mo after the return, wala na yun, dead ma lang. So, hindi napapansin ng compiler yun. Parang ikaw, sa X mo, di ka na pinapansin. So, parang ganun lang po. Ganun kasimple. Ganun kagaling. So, if you want it to be included, dapat po, ilalagay niya siya before the return statement. Otherwise, kapag nauna yung return, tapos naglagay ka pa dyan ng ganap, wala nang ganap yan. Okay? I hope clear tayo dun. So, let's take our function to another level. We're going to create a new function. Ano ba magandang example? Yun. So, let's define, let's say, course info. And then, we're going to take the course name. The number of student. So, student number. This does not pertain to the student number for each individual student, but the number of students. Okay, don't get confused. Okay? And then the credit hours, kung ilang oras ba talaga siya. And then simulate college course and return the summary, let's say as a dictionary. Yan, medyo level up natin ng konti. So, dahil dictionary, we have course is equal to open curly braces. We take a key. Let's say our key is course name. And then the course name dot title, comma. Another key will be the student number na lang. Again, that pertains to the number of student. Okay, so don't get confused. Colon, student number, yung nasa taas natin, ito. So, course name, student number, and then comma. And the last but not the least will be the credit hours. Credit hours, comma. And then return course. So, let's define it as subject is equal to course info, Python programming. Let's say meron tayong ilan ba? Typical 40 or 38 students kunyari. And then this is a 5-hour subject. Okay? So let's check if we have the dictionary correct. Print, type, subject. Ayun na. So, expected output, it should be class dictionary. Yun. So, we've got it. Right? Naintindihan po? So, we define a function, course info, and then we have parameters, course name, student number, credit hours. For our course, defining our dictionary, the key, course name the title, student number, credit hours. Return the course. So, we've successfully created a dictionary. Now, let's have a look. So, for key, value in subject dot items. Let's print the key plus double quote, colon, plus string of our value. Hopefully I got this correct. For key value in subject dot items. Yun. So we have course name, our key, the value, Python programming, the student number, that is 38, or the number of students 38, then the credit hours is 5. So that's good. It's great. We have it working, right? Now, let's try to simulate drafting a student. Kaya lang, kung magdra-draft tayo ng estudyante, or let's say may huminto, mahirap lang daw siya. So, apektado raw siya ng COVID, parang tayo naman hindi. Let's create a new function. So, define draft student, and then the course simulate drafting a student from a specific course. And then we have course student number, and then minus equals 1, may nag-drop na isa, and then print dropping student from course name plus that. Then drop student course. Yun, error. Main course is not defined. Ayun, dapat kasi naka-subject tayo. So, let's put it as a subject. Tama ba ako? Oo, tama yan. Kasama sa paglaki yan. Oh my gulay. What is happening here? drop student. Ayun, student number. So, ingat-ingat lang sa mga variable, sa mga key. Nakita nyo kanina, ay mali ako ng spelling, so typo error, pero kasama sa paglakayan. Again, wala po itong edit. So, ganun talaga. So, nakapag-drop tayo ng student. Hopefully, isa lang na-drop natin. Sir, bakit hopefully isa lang? Ilang beses kasi tayo nag-run. So, technically, when you run this multiple times, dapat maraming beses na babawas. So, let's check. Ilan ba yung natira sa estudyante natin? Remember, we have 38. Okay? So, paano natin check? Sige nga. Again, loop. For key, comma, value. Actually, pwede natin copyin na natin. Ayun. Yun, 37. So, pag nag-drop ka ng isa pa, ilan na lang dapat? 35. Nakuha niyo po? So, I guess that's it. That's for the function. This is a good place to stop. Hinto muna, hinga-hinga kayo, pero ako hindi. Kasi our next topic will be local and global variable. So let's put a mark down in here. And then, ano ba? Local variable. Mali. Yun no, local variable. And then we have global variable. So moving on, when we talk about the local and global variable, we could say that a local variable, it is something like a variable that is defined in a block and is available in that block only. Ayun. And when we talk about global variable, any variable present outside any function block is termed as global variable. So, ayun po. Ay, mami. Lagay tayo rito ng BR. Ayun na. Okay. So, for you to understand it better, let's have some examples. So, for example, I have number equals 3. And then, I have a function definition times 10 x multiply a number by 10. May message. Your game has happened to me. Okay, umaya na maglaro. X multiply equals or asterisk equals 10. So, what did we notice here? What is a number? Is it a global variable or local variable? So, if you answer global, then you are correct. Number is a global variable. Why? Because this is a variable because it exists outside of a function. X. Is X a global or a local variable? Yes, it's a local variable. Because it exists inside of a function. Okay? So, yun po. Kaya lang, hindi ko na siya iraran. Kokopyahin ko to. Tapos, mag-insert ako ng cell sa baba. And then, again, best practice, na una dapat yung function. Okay. So, when you do this, anong mangyayari dito? Let's say we print a number. What will happen? We're going to have a number 3. Tama? Ayun no. Bakit? Because we have number 3. Ganun lang kasimple. But if we do something like, let's say, times 10, tapos we call in the number, ano mangyayari? Ayun, walang mangyayari. Nothing will happen. Okay? So, paano mo magpapalabas yung 3 times 10? Right? So, the idea is that we define times 10 and then dito ka sa loob maglalagay ng print x. Number is equal to 3 times 10. So, what we have here is yung number is equal to 3. Tapos, gagawin mo rito is times 10 number. So, yung number mo na 3, pukol mo sa function definition na times 10, yung value na to is 3. 3 times 10, 30. Tapos, sabi, print x. So, pag print, 30. Ganun kasimple. Now, what if I do something like define times 10 multiply, maglagay tayo rito ng print x equals times 10, print x, number is equal to 3 times 10 number. Ano magiging output? You know, 3 and 30. Okay? If we try to have print x in here, what will happen? Error. Sir, bakit nag-error? Dahil yung x mo is a local variable. So, you cannot call the x outside of a function kasi yung x mo nandiyan sa loob. Okay? Ang nakalagay, ang global is the number. So, technically, yung number, pwede mo makall kahit saan, kahit nandito ka na sa labas. You simply print number dahil global variable siya. Lalabas siya. Naintindihan po? So, sana nakukuha nyo kahit papano. Okay? Next. Actually, yung number, pwede mo rin i-print sa loob eh. Let's try. Palitan natin yan ng number. Ayun, no? 3 and then 3. Pero siguro, dagdagan natin dito ng print tapos x. Kaya nga natin. Ayun, no? So, print x 3. Minultiply mo, naging 30. Print mo yung number, naging 3. Ganun kasimple. Okay? So, hopefully, kahit pa paano, naiintindihan, ha? But, for another example, let's say I have here, wait, tinatamad na ako mag-type. Sige na, type nga lang natin. Hindi, okay na yan. Ang gulo ko. Let's say we have here print number, and then x is equal to print number, then ayan, number is equal to 3, times 10 number. So, anong tingin nyo mangyayari dito? So, if your answer is 3 and 3, then you are correct. Sir, bakit nangyari yan? Hindi ba dapat magiging 30? No. This is because we are currently working with immutable data. Naintindihan? Hindi. Okay. So, ganito po. I-rewrite natin yung program para mas madaling maintindihan. Okay? So, tanggalin ko to. And then, ang ilagay ko rito is print current value plus string x equals x asterisk equals 10 then print updated value plus string ng x Then we return x. Ayun. So number 3, number is equal to times 10 number, and then print outside of a function plus string number. Ayun. So what we are expecting to see here is that we've initialized a number as 3. So the current value will be 3. Updated value will be 3 times 10. So that will be 30. And then outside of a function, the number will be what? 3 or 30? If you answer 3, if you answer 30, okay. So that will be 3, 30, 30. Ayun, no? Huh. So hopefully with this kind of example, medyo mas clear na siya. Okay? Now, let's have another example. Define character, replace the word replace specific characters in a string with other characters. So while a in word is equal to word that replace a comma at sign. Okay. Copy while i, papalitan mo yung in ng 3. Yung I, you have your I as exclamation point. Yung O, papalitan natin siya ng 0. U, tapos we replace it with the hashtag, and then we do print word, and then print our praise is equal to hello, how are you doing today? And then we print the praise. So we print the praise simply. So wala tayong ginawa pa something special. So yes, something special is we created a function definition, so car replace, pero hindi pa natin ginamit. So we simply declare the function, we declare the praise, we print the praise. Ganun lang kasimple. Pero kung gagawa tayo ngayon dito ng print praise and then char replace ng praise, ayun, no, pang malakasan na siya. Okay? So another thing is kapag ginawa mo siyang ganyan, tapos kinol mo ulit yung phrase, ano kaya mangyayari? Babalik ba sa normal or mag-i-stick? Ayun, balik na siya sa normal. Simple as that. Okay? So hopefully clear na sa inyo. Another way to do this one is by doing it ganito. So we have praise, print praise, tapos i-equal natin yung praise sa replace ng praise, then we print praise. Ayun, no. Praise, print phrase, print, phrase. Hello, how are you doing today? Hello, how are you doing today? So, yun po. Questions? Kung may tanong kayo, comment nyo na lang or kaya sa group chat natin. Pwede naman. Mali pala ako. Kaya nagtataka bakit may nandito. Kasi dapat itong print na to, papalitan natin to ng return. Ayun. Sorry, my bad. Tapos, return word. Ayun. Wala na dapat nan. So, that's another way to implement it. Okay? So, ayun po. So, yung word ba pwede namin i-print? Try natin. If we do print word, error hindi, gagana. Error po yan. Bakit? Kasi po yung word, hindi naman siya defined, hindi naman siya local variable. Okay? Word pala ay local variable, sorry. Word is a local variable. So, hindi siya global variable, kaya siya mag-error. Kaya lumalabas na error is not defined. Okay, so, we're done with it. Now, we are going to have examples of local and global variables, list and data. So, list data, list and dictionaries. Ito po yung mga mutable data. So, let me create a function, remove names, and then remove a name from a list. So, remove name is equal to, gagamit tayo ng, para tayo magre-remove, pop. So, names.pop, and then print goodbye, then plus remove name.title. And then print names. So for example, gawa tayo ng friends natin. List friends is equal to, let's say, sino ba? Si John, si Jack. Kung may Jack tayo, may kasama tayong Jill. Jack and Jill. And then we have James. Ayun, no? And then we print friends. Remove names friends. So, sino matatanggal natin? So, technically, yung pinakalas natin, kasi pop yung ginamit natin, so yung pinakalas ang matatanggal. So, we have friends, John, Jack, Jill, James. I-print natin yung friends. So, mag-print tong apat. Nag-remove friends tayo. Ano bang ginawa sa remove? Sa remove names. Yung remove names natin is technically, anong ginawa? Nag-pop. So, John, Jack, Jill, James. Tapos, mawawala. Mag-goodbye tayo kay James. Tapos, pag print mo ulit, wala na si... sorry. Remove names is not defined. Ayun, nasobrahan tayo ng S. Friends. Bakit wala akong friends? Wait a minute. Kaping mainit. Define, remove names. Tanggalin ko pala muna to. Nandito yung aking friends. Ayan, John, Jack, Jill. Say natin. Mag-remove tayo ng names. Sorry about that. May mali. My bad. So, yan. Nagmamadali na kasi ako. May interview kasi ako. Ayan. Remove yun. Pinahirapan ako. Remove names. Sorry, my bad. So remove names, friends, kaya nawala si James. Sorry, my bad. And then let's try to do this something like this one. Copy, paste. Remove name not pop, print, goodbye, that remove title. Mag-try tayo mag-print dito ng names. Ayan. We have friends, print friends, tapos remove names, friends. Hi, salamat. Pasaway ka, kala mo. And when we try to print friends, what will happen? Ano tingin niyo mangyayari? So natira na lang is si John, Jack, and Jill. So that's it for that particular example. Okay? Another function, add to number 738, and then add 2 to a number num plus equals 2, our value is equal to 10, print value, and then add 2 value, print value. So anong ginawa natin dito? We created a function which will add the two numbers. So value is equal to 10, and then print value, so technically that is 10. Add 2, we call add 2. So magiging anong nangyari? 10 plus 2 dapat, tama? Anong magiging expected output? 10 and 12? No, it's 10 and 10. Sir, bakit? Again, these are immutable. Hindi po siya magre-reflect. But if you want it to be reflected, or if you want the changes to reflect, then you must technically adjust it. So paano mo siya i-adjust? Lagay tayo ng comment. If you want the changes to reflect, then do the following. Ayan, define add to number num plus equals 2. Magre-return tayo. Return num. So ito yung kailangan mong idagdag. This one is needed to be added. Value is equal to 10, print value. Oops, tanggalin natin to. Print value is equal to add to, tapos value. Ayan. So ito rin, kailangan mo rin itong itama. Add this one para mag-reflect. So hindi lang basta-basta add to value, kailangan ilagay mo siya sa isang variable and then you print that variable. That way, magiging 10 and 12. Okay. So, nakukuha na po. Kahit pa paano? Hopefully. Another example. Common mistake then when you are creating a copy is gumagawa lang kayo ng parang bagong variable tas naka-point pa rin doon. So, yan yung common mistake ng mga newbie which is wrong. Okay? So, if, for example, interview to, tapos pinagawa kayo ng program, yung program po na pinagawa sa inyo is gumawa ka ng same or gagawa ka ng bagong copy ng list. So, for example, nums is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this is mistake of newbie pero kung hindi ka newbie, edi wow. Ikaw na. That append 5, print nums. So, ano nangyari dito? We have nums as 1, 2, 3, 4. New nums is equal to nums. So, gumawa ka ng bagong variable. Pinoint mo lang din doon sa may nums. Nung nag-append ka ng 5, nag-print ka ng nums, ang mangyayari is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, if you want to make a copy, paano mo ginagawa? When you want nums is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, then you creating new nums is equal to nums colon, iyan, and then new nums that append 5 print nums then you print new nums. Ayun. So, makikita mo na yung nums mo na 1, 2, 3, 4, gumawa ka ng bagong kopya, new nums, naging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siya. So, nawala siya. So, sa isa, 1, 2, 3, 4, sa isa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, I guess that's it. This is as far as our topic is concerned. Hopefully, may natutunan kayo kahit konti. Okay? And then, next recording will be for the Code Labs activity. So, see you again, guys, on the Code Labs. Hopefully, magawa ninyo yung Code Labs activity with this knowledge that I have discussed. Thank you. See you again. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.